Curran Antonelli, LLP is a boutique bankruptcy and insolvency litigation firm.
We started the firm about 6.5 years ago, and we decided to start a firm where we could focus on areas that we thought would be very competitive for us and that we could be very focused on. So in that period of time, we've focused on a lot of bankruptcy litigation throughout the country, and that has led us to cross-border engagements. So our firm covers really anything related to bankruptcy in terms of litigation in courts around the country that encompass matters that cover various parts of the world. We've grown our firm during that 6-year period, so we're handling cases in New England, now Texas, cases in Florida, cases that have touched upon Europe, Africa, and probably some other places that I can't remember.
We represent mostly creditors, parties in interest that are seeking to recover assets. We represent trustees in bankruptcy, we represent governmental agencies, and of course private equity and other corporate or business entities, essentially fighting over money, debt, or credit.
We think it's a competitive and comparative advantage for us and our clients to be part of a global network like IR Global.
Our cross-border insolvency work takes us to matters all over the globe. Whether or not we're actually litigating in different countries at the same time, or whether we're litigating in the States, for instance, but find ourselves seeking to recover assets that are across the globe, or that have entities that have tentacles around the globe. It is critical for us to have people that we can trust, that we know work well with us as a team throughout the globe.
It's often the case that, virtually always the case, that our matters touch upon areas geographically, for example, that aren't restricted to, say, New England, where we started our firm in Massachusetts, in Boston, Massachusetts.
We are, as I said, a boutique, specialized bankruptcy insolvency litigation firm. And we're more commonly referred to as special forces as opposed to, regular army. So we're limited in our in-house resources. We're a US-based firm, but we practice internationally. So it is enormously helpful to us to have over 1,300 professionals that we can trust and rely upon across the globe through IR Global to build our forces when we need to litigate matters, both in the US and abroad. And without that backup, as I would say, we would not be able to handle some of the significant cross-border litigation cases that we're currently handling. So it's really the breadth of IR Global that is so important to us.
From a geographical perspective, it's important. It's also important from an expertise perspective. And we found that being part of a global network gives us really long hallways. So when we were parts of much larger firms, of course, those larger firms wanted us to export work to our regional offices. Well, at bottom, the regional offices, those hallways were restricted to the firm. Now, being part of a global network, those hallways are exponentially larger, they're wider, they're longer. So we're able to reach professionals that are really good at what they do, for example, in England, and also are really good at what they do, say, in ERISA work or transactional work, where We don't want to be experts in that area. We want to stay in our lanes and focus on bankruptcy litigation and sophisticated commercial litigation that typically has an aspect of bankruptcy to it. So we feel that our clients benefit from that, and our clients tell us that they benefit. We can feel the feedback, we can hear the feedback from our clients that like the referrals that we give them and bringing those other professionals that are part of the IR Global Network into the fold on a particular matter.
Well, we first joined IR Global just before the global pandemic, and so essentially for almost the entire first year of our membership, we didn't really attend any functions, and we weren't exposed to many other members at all. We just didn't participate. Once we started participating in IR Global, and we attended the DC conference this past year, we met several colleagues that we knew that if something came up, we could rely upon them to assist us. And so we actually started to participate in the group just after the DC conference.
We found IR Global to be very worthwhile for ourselves as a firm, and obviously for our clients indirectly, in terms of referring specific areas, whether it be in a geographical location or in a particular area of expertise. Thus far, we've engaged on 2 to 3 matters. We're in talks with a prospective client on a prospective matter, and we've already consulted with an IR Global member. In that case, it's in the UK. And we felt that it's just a great group of people, very professional, very competent, people that we feel that we can bring into the fold on a particular matter with a particular client without hesitation. And again, it's an extension of that long hallway concept, and we feel as a firm that probably, as we say in the States, we like to punch above our weight class. We feel that we can do that with the broader IR Global membership, as compared to even much larger firms that we were a part of. Hallways are longer, hallways are wider. We're able to export business, and we've actually already imported some work through a referral from an IR Global member that we were able to deliver a successful outcome for.
We used parties such as Zev Haskell and his private investigation group on one of our matters currently, and he's been an invaluable resource. Regarding our cross-border insolvency matters, we're generally engaged in matters that reach Western Europe and especially the UK. We have a lot of work that we've done with various firms over the years in London.
Before I began practicing law about 17 or 18 years ago, I was in the business sector. So I had an undergraduate degree, and I was worked for actually some global software companies. One was Reuters. I worked for Reuters America in their financial markets group, and another company. And so through those various positions, before I became a lawyer, I attended many conferences, LA, New York, all over the world. And then since I became a lawyer during that 17, 18-year career, I've attended many conferences, again, around the world. Comparing the IR Global Conference, annual conference in DC, to my universe of conferences, I would say this: very, very professionally organized, very, in terms of the format, the interactions amongst the professionals, the members, was really well organized, scripted. The presenters, which I wasn't expecting, for example, you had I believe a psychologist that presented, and the interesting thing about that presentation was that it was beneficial not just from a lawyer's perspective, but from a parenting perspective. And you might recall some of the substance of that presentation. So I actually came back having benefited as a lawyer and in improving my listening skills, and also as a parent in listening to my kids, I'll call them, although they're a bit older. So I found, again, coming full circle to your question, I thought it was very well organized. I thought the contents and substance of the conference was very beneficial, very valuable. I thought the locale, the venue was fantastic, top rate, first class. And then the extracurriculars, I'll call them. So the walking tour and the dinners was, on par with any number of conferences that I've been to over the years in various locales. In fact, I'd say that part of it was particularly outstanding in terms of the dinners and the sponsored events. So I would give it an A.
What we're really excited about is in attending the annual conference here in Barcelona is to expand on the network that we have started to build with IR Global. We started in DC, as I said earlier this year at our first conference, and we're very excited to kind of expand our relationship with some of the folks that we've met there, and also to meet a much broader range of people across the globe that we can reach out to and start to build relationships with.
Just a great group of people, and that's really what it comes down to. Is when you're in a service business like the law profession is, it really comes down to the people that you work with, that are your clients. You're dealing with business problems, all sorts of issues that really ultimately boil down to dealing with people. When you're in court like we are, you really have to be able to speak to a jury, speak to a judge, deal with your opposing counsel. Ultimately it's all about people. And what I've found is whether it's at a conference, whether it's on an email, a phone call, a Teams meeting, IR Global has a great group of people amongst its membership, and the people that are running IR Global, like yourselves, just do a fantastic job and make the experience worthwhile.